This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
Entertainment Tonight, and kind of a bunch of others and some podcasts and things like that. So it's been fun. And I think there's just been a lot of interest in the show back then. I think combination of it having come out 2 months ago and the fact that we have a global pandemic, there's been a shifting away from it. But it hasn't really ever gotten too crazy for me personally. But I know that the final couples, they've been kind of all over the world.
All over, yeah. Okay.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. I got my co-host with me, Renee Montgomery, and our special guest today, Rory Newbrough. Rory, how's it going?
It's going. How are you guys doing?
Newbrough's on the block. Had a bunch of this food makes me sick. Let's go, Rory. Let's go. How are you, Rory? So, Rory, let's just start out. How are you dealing with quarantine life? How's it going? Like, what is that life like?
I mean, I actually got kind of flu-like symptoms early on before the official stay-at-home order came, or especially because I live in Georgia. So I kind of self-quarantined for about 2 weeks, and that's right when the official stay-at-home started. So I've been here for about a month and a half. I mean, I definitely miss the gym and I miss being able to go out, but it's a small ask of each of us to do that and kind of sit at home, especially now since we can do things like this, kind of remotely connect.
So were you able to get tested? I mean, the flu-like symptoms is kind of COVID-like, and I'm not saying you have COVID. I'm just saying, were you able to get tested?
No, I didn't even bother because, I think the direction at that time, because the infrastructure was still being developed, was that if you don't have anything that seems critical or ICU, just ride it out. And, ride it out's like my motto. So I was like, all right, let's just do it. Right. So
let's just ride it out.
Yeah, just ride it out. I just stayed at home and coughed myself a storm and on I went.
So I actually did the same. I didn't feel any symptoms, but I just kind of self-quarantined and went with it.
That's great. I mean, it's, honestly, I can't imagine this being tough 100 years ago, but now with all the technology, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Rory, could you give us a little background about where you grew up?
Sure. So I grew up in San Diego, California. So I was one of the beach kids. I actually went to college across the street from the beach. So that was super fun. And then I came out to Atlanta about 6 years ago to start working in the games industry. So I worked on 4 launch titles and then 1 or 2 video games that didn't, end up getting released. So I spent a lot of time. Actually, I mean, basically the last 15 years have been in the gaming industry specifically, up until, they asked me to be part of Love is Blind.
Okay, so you mentioned gaming. So you went to UC San Diego, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you had a computer engineering degree. So was gaming always the plan and you just fell into love? What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, my dad helped me build my first computer when I was 3, which means that he did all of it and I watched. But it once I got that set up, I started playing my first game. It was kind of like love at first sight, right? It was being able to just kind of have differing challenges. And as an art form, video games are so expressive and interactive. And so it's just so great to follow all of those over the course of, last 20, 30 years that they developed. And then I kind of just went into college expecting to be a programmer. And then I realized that I kind of have a knack for camera work. And so I started doing casting and game announcing for a video game company and eventually got hired there.
Okay, so I'm an announcer and I am very curious about game announcing. Okay, because I actually think it's interesting because right now, esports is doing taking off because that's all we have. So talk to me. Can you just announce a play for me? If I come down, first I get a steal and this is on the game, right? Do you do sports?
So I don't do any sports games or sports, but it could be quite.
You do
quite
today,
similar.
Okay? So today I just got a steal and I went down and made a 3. My name is Renee Montgomery, number 21. Let's hear it.
You want play-by-play or you want color?
I want I want whatever you got.
Because it would be chair 1 or chair 2 depending, but chair 2 would be the play-by-play. So it would be number 23, Renee Montgomery.
Yeah, 21 actually.
21. Okay.
Let's
So
get it.
we're hopping to the play right now, and it's 21-17 on the break. We're going to go into the halftime here shortly, but we see Renee breaking out here with 21 down the center. She's going to throw a shovel pass, picking up all the way down to the end zone. She's going to score, and that's going to break it up, and they're in the lead now right before halftime.
Woo!
All
You
right.
better know it. All right, up 2 by half. Okay. So you pause. I just needed that to happen.
Boom.
That was
Your quarantine chill.
That was impressive right there on the spot.
I needed that. I don't have, we're supposed to be coming up on my season right now, so that was good. I needed that.
I know.
I felt a little normal. I like that.
We'll flashback to what times used to be like.
Sure. Yeah. So what? I know I looked up like a couple of jobs you had. So what exactly is a game designer do, or a game director? Sorry.
Sure. Yes. I mean, I changed positions a lot. So it was kind of like, doing a lot of legwork and then moving up. And so I started out actually as just like a base entry level, community manager. And then I worked in products and marketing. Then I moved into game design, and game design is, if we use the example of football, game designers would say, how many downs are there? How many yards per down? How many points is it when you do a point conversion? How far is it before you hit fourth down, right? So the rules and the constructs that make the game what it is, and what rules are useful. And you'll see a lot of this, like, especially, if we're using the example of NFL, over time, they've had to make adjustments to when referees can break it up, if you're out of bounds or not, like things like that have developed as people play the game more and it starts to change. So a game designer is responsible for holding the constructs of the fun you're having and make sure it's fair and competitive, but also still interesting and fun to watch. So I did that for about 3 years, and then moved into leadership, which is more like, hiring people to do that. And then at a very high level, what products make sense? What games are popular right now? How do we make money? How are we, what's our quarterly budget, reporting to the board, things like that. Just like, can we run this business properly and keep players interested in our game? That's kind of what a game director does. It just looks at the overall vision of the product itself, decides what's useful, what's not, what markets are we going after, and then is it playing the right way that it should?
Nice.
Gotcha. Could you tell us what kind of games you worked on?
Yeah, so the first game I worked on was Smite, Battleground of the Gods. It's on PC, Xbox, Switch, and PS4. And then I started Paladins Champions of the Realm as one of the lead developers. I did that for a couple years. And then I also worked on Realm Royale, which ended up being number 4 on Steam charts on launch, with over 100,000 people playing. So that was one of our biggest ones. And then I also worked on a mobile game called Bot Smashers that didn't actually ship, but it was going to be for iOS and Android.
Nice. That's awesome. Speaking of games, look at this little gamer over here. And we have an official complaint from a gamer. So he told me that Fortnite, the game director of Fortnite needs to start connecting with the fans again, because Fortnite is falling off. That is not you. But you ever get another one that blows up like the other one did, make sure you don't lose connection with the little guys. Okay?
It's so hard, right? Because they've been, Fortnite's still relatively new. It's 3 or 4 years since they made the Battle Royale version. But, they've been doing an excellent job. I think there's like over 1,000 people at Epic working specifically on Fortnite. And so they've done an awesome job doing it.
They're doing something right. It's
just hard to keep them interested every day, all year for years on end, right? And there's always going to be things that you make a decision that might be a long-term decision, and it's going to suck in the meantime, and you have to muscle through, and then it gets to a better place. So.
And they'll still play, because he complains about it. As you see, he's still playing.
Buy tons of skins and play.
Yes, they're going to play, but let's get into a little Love is Blind.
All right. So I was one of the last ones casted. They actually found me. I think it was on Instagram. They just sent me a message. One of the casting, the casting agents, and they kind of told me the premise.
Wait, so you didn't apply? They found you?
Well, you think about it. If it's the first season, they don't want to be putting out lots of language around the show, right? They kind of want to keep it hush hush. So they did a lot of legwork just finding people.
No, I know. So that's because I'm in the entertainment industry, so I get casting calls all the time about reality shows. So that actually is a thing that reality shows do. But that might be why Love is Blind went viral, because they really found people organically. So that's cool. But finish your story. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I was actually against going. I said no twice. They kept pushing. They really wanted me to go. So I think everyone was casting because we shot the show in October of 2018. I think they were casting for about 9 months before that, but I was picked up, I think, a month and a half before we shot the show. So there was a very kind of like rush. when they, you know, we did a couple interviews and we did the whole process, and they were like really on board. They wanted me to be part of the show. So I kind of went on it, but it was, I don't know, I was against it at first, but the idea was so fascinating and interesting that I was just like, you know what, let's just see what this is about.
Wow. Okay.
Wait, so after saying no twice, what made you say yes the third time?
Well, it was like, because you think about it, you have to take 2 to 4 to 6 weeks off from work, right? And I was, you know, I was running a department, so it's like finding people to make sure that doesn't fall apart while I'm gone, and, you know, training people and all that. Like that, and it's like, you know, do I have enough PTO to do this? And, you know, so a lot of like real world considerations came into it. That, it's like, you know, there's definitely a wide stigma for reality TV, right? Like, is this going to be sensational? Is this going to be genuine? Like, how is this going to be casted? What are they going to use? And you also, you know, that you're kind of in there being watched 24/7. You know, are you being careful about your vernacular? You know, are you going to, like, you know, run out of sleep or get drunk too much once and do something stupid? Like, there's always,
and like ruin your whole life and your whole
like you're fired or gone, your career's stupid, screw this guy, right? You know.
So I'm curious, did she ever tell you, because like for them to come back to you twice, multiple times, did they ever tell you what about you made them really want you to be on the show?
No, I mean, they didn't really. They just like, please reconsider, you know, we'd love to have you, and those kind of things. So I honestly don't know. I have to imagine there's probably some rules of engagement from a production team like that, where they don't want to get too much of their puppeteering, right? They want to make sure it's organic and they're not interacting too much with the people. So I don't know what it was, but, you know, off I went.
Yeah, what did you tell work? That I'm curious. You brought that up.
Be right back. Gotta go fall in love.
Well, I asked kind of my close friends and coworkers what they thought, right? Like, is this something I should do? And almost all of them were 50-50, right? Half of them were like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Go do it. It should be fun. And the other half were like, you're stupid. Why are you even considering this? This is going to blow up in your face. And you know, like all those things. And I just told them, you know what, I'm just going to go do it. And, you know, there's a variable amount of time, right? Because the experiment itself was 10 days, but the following vacation and cohabitation was, you know, obviously it was 2 weeks living together, and you had to get married and all that. So like, you're potentially having to take 4 to 6 weeks off. Variable, right? So you don't really know. So I just said, you know, it's going to be minimum 2 weeks, and then maybe I'll let you know. Let's see, you know.
Wow.
Gotcha. That's crazy. So what was like the first day like in the house?
Well, so we got there, and I think a lot of people were trying to just dip their toe in. You know, everyone's like, okay, what is this? People are trying to play it cool, or, you know, like laughing and looking at the things. But I think what was interesting for me, because I've done like gaming events and things like that. I'm used to having very much a structure, whereas this one was very much like they just released us like doves into the room and then just said go, right? Like they're very
like
hands off.
find roommates.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, this is the room, bye, and we're like, what?
So did you know anyone, like when you got there? Did you see any familiar faces?
Well, I think we each had a producer. And so I definitely recognized my producer, because him and I were in contact up until the show. And then I got to meet everyone else's producers and all the people. But no, there wasn't really anyone that I was like, I knew beforehand. There were people that knew each other, but I didn't know anyone.
Wow. So, okay. So after they released you into the wild, like the doves you are, how many days did you notice one person right away?
Yes. So my first date was with Danielle, and we had a connection immediately. So the first day we did speed dating. So there were 15 guys and 15 girls, and you had to talk to each of them, I think, for 7 minutes. And so you just did like this, all 15. And then after that, you would, straight through all of them. You just kept going. And so we would basically do 2 sets of dates. We would do morning dates and evening or nighttime dates. And so we would do the morning dates, and we'd come back. And then in the afternoon, we would like make a list of who we liked. And then they would cross-reference our lists. And then we'd do nighttime dates with some new people. And so it started out with 15, it cut down to 8, and then it slowly worked its way down to 2.
Oh, okay. Like, so my question is, like, for instance, was there somebody that you really kind of knew that had a connection with someone else that maybe that's why you didn't pursue them, but had they not had a connection, would you have pursued them?
I don't think so. I mean, I was kind of gung ho about Danielle most of the time, basically
Yeah.
all the time, but there was definitely a lot of love triangles going on and some competitions. And I found out at the very end that one of my best friends in the show, Matt, was also into Danielle. So we had our own little love triangle and she had to choose between us at the end. And I think on the proposal day, Matt just got up and left. He just walked out.
Like just left the whole place.
Yep, just left.
What do you mean just left? Like, I mean, where did he go?
He just left the building. He just got up, gave a speech, said, I'm not gonna play by your rules, and just left.
And that was the end of it.
Well, that was it was the day of proposals, right? So he just didn't propose to get married, and
Yeah.
then just got up and left. And so, I mean, I think my
Intriguing.
our love triangle didn't get aired, obviously. I
Yeah.
think they do have the footage still, but yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one to find out that I mean, it makes sense, right? The people that you connect with would probably be going after the same women, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That
We need
makes
that
sense.
bonus episode then.
We do. I think it was actually 3 of them.
3 of them?
Yeah, I would take all the behind the scenes because for the show to be so successful, they obviously chopped it down to how they wanted it. But now that they know we like the product, yes, Love is Blind, we want to see the behind the scenes.
Totally.
I want to see his love triangle. I want to see all of it. I want to see it all. I want to see Matt walk away. I want to see it all.
Yeah,
so-
there were some good moments.
What was that? What was that like? Were you like disappointed that? Did you know? You didn't know at the time you weren't going to get aired, right?
No, I mean, none of us knew. I mean, the people that went on had no idea what it was going to look like or when it was going to go. They kind of just dropped it and we had to roll with it, right?
So were you like disappointed when it came out and you weren't on it, like fully?
So, I mean, it was like a year and a half from the shooting to
that's
the launch.
crazy.
So we had to wait. I mean, we had to be quiet about it the whole time. But, no, I was just like, okay, what's done is done. I don't have control over the final product. So I just kind of forgot about it. I was like, whatever, like I can't control this. Let's just move on. And then 2 weeks before the show aired, they dropped the trailer. And that's when I started like getting anxious. I was like, oh yeah, that thing I did. I forgot about that. So, and none of us knew what was going to be in the final edit or how they're going to use it or how many episodes. So I was a little disappointed at first to see how everything got chopped up, but I totally understood just because I didn't continue on and I didn't get married. So obviously they have to, if Netflix only wants 10 episodes and they're the publisher and they're paying for it, then it's whatever they want to fit into 10 episodes. And they certainly, I mean, I think the 10 days in the pods was enough content for its own season or 2, right? Like there's just so much that happened there that they could have done that as a separate thing.
So I have a question. Are there any couples that you aren't surprised have made it, like that you just knew like that couple had chemistry and that they were probably going to make the long walk?
Yeah. So I knew Lauren and Cameron were going to make it for sure. I mean, they were starstruck from day one. I knew that Matt or Barnett and Amber were going to make it because I spent a lot of time kind of coaching and
so wait, how did you know they were going to make it and he was dating like 100 people?
Well, I knew that he had the trifecta, but I was talking to Barnett multiple times a day. Like multiple times a day. Like almost a lot of the time I spent in the lounge, I was spending time with Barnett and Damien and trying to help them because like they were kind of, what do I do? What do I choose? It's such a permanent decision. How do I figure this out? So it helped them. And since I still had dates with like Giannina and Amber and Elsie, I would help them like through the pods as well. Just like, hey, Barnett's choosing all these girls. He proposed to Jessica. Now he's proposing to me. Like, what should I do? And so I would like help them through the pod of like, okay, let's figure out what you're looking for and who you're after. And so I spent a lot of time with those. So I think Giannina and Damien and Amber and Barnett were the ones I was pretty confident in just because I'd spent so much time talking to them. And I knew Lauren and Cameron were definitely going to make it. And the rest of them were kind of up in the air because, either I like Diamond and Carlton, I didn't have too much interaction with. So like as far as like on a personal level. So I mean, obviously we hung out in the lounge with Carlton, but across the pod I didn't have too much interaction with Diamond. So those I wasn't super confident on.
Okay. So it's, I mean, because I would think that if you're there, you can feel the chemistry. So yeah. So
well, it was just, I mean, we were talking about love and marriage and everything for 18 to 20 hours a day. And we were going in and out of dates constantly. And we were in the lounge constantly and talking constantly.
So how much was the sleep? How much was a set schedule? Like what was the schedule? Like a daily routine? Did they, in the morning, they said, all right, today you're going to do this. You can take a nap at this time. Did they like, you're going to eat at this time, or was it free flowing?
It was, you need to be out in the lounge at this time. So we had to get up and get ready and all that. And then they would start the process of getting us into our morning dates. And they would tell us, you know, because there was 10 pods total, and they would say, okay, this number you're in next, and then they would pull us out and do all that, and then like we all got pretty tired because they gave us the option to go to sleep for some of the night dates, and
Yeah.
we, since we're about to make a big decision, all of us wanted to just keep talking, so we kind of worked ourselves kind of dry, and a lot of us ended up taking naps in the lounge in between dates and things like that. So
Yeah. What do you think about like all the memes going around that are of you?
I think they're
The
hilarious.
meme god.
Everyone, I mean, most people were like, he's a plant or he's a producer. And I take that as a compliment, because it just means that, maybe it's just the way I speak or the way I carry myself. It stands out, which is good. That's a positive thing. So
Yeah.
I was thankful for that. And then there was a couple ones that were just absolutely hilarious, because it's fun when you can kind of see what someone else's perspective of you is. Like someone said I was a tall Tyrion Lannister, and that one was just amazing. That was just like such a interesting. I think it's because like at a certain angle, like my head is like a similar. Yeah, so that's super cool. Peter Dinklage is an awesome person, so I'm so glad that's there. But it's just there's pieces there, and then a lot of people told me that my voice sounds like Ryan Reynolds. So I don't hear it because it's my voice, but I've gotten that a lot.
Hey, Blake
so.
Lively's husband. Okay, I like that. But the first one was so spot on. How tall are you?
I am 6'3".
So you're like literally the polar opposite of. You guys gotta like get a photo side by side. Paul, put a photo of put it right there in the corner, because that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, are we done with the Love Is Blind? We're going on to the average to savage questions.
No, hold on. What about? I was gonna. No, I was gonna ask too. Like, has this changed your way that you look at love?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, I did a couple interviews on this as well. And I think it's the side of the pod experiment that I hope at some point gets more coverage, because I think it's a really good commentary on where we are now in the modern day, right? Because, they took our phones away. We had no distractions. We had no responsibilities. We all took time off of work, and we were just there without any electronics, without anything else going on. And a lot of us ended up kind of getting in touch with ourselves, or kind of coming face to face with our baggage in anticipation of being someone's partner, right? So like a lot of it, we went through a lot of emotional breakdowns and breakthroughs, and a lot of us grew and changed because of, us just being in this 10-day meditation exercise of just being alone in this thing, right? I think that was kind of a big eye opener. And it also, you treat someone differently if you're intending to propose to them than if you're just on a first date, right? Like, okay, well, I have 10 days to figure this out.
Now.
Yeah. So you're like, do you want kids? How many kids do you want? What is, like, how many times a day do you want to have sex, or a week? Like, what are you looking for in sex? Like, you have to ask these questions, right? Because you're about to be married to them. You have to know what day-to-day life is going to be like and what their values are.
I don't think everyone was asking those questions, because once they had to get to regular life where they weren't in the pods anymore, some couples just, it was different transitions. So you might have been ahead of the curve asking those things.
It's important. I mean, you talk about religion and all those other things, right? Like, you want to know the whole gambit if you're about to tie the knot,
Have you dated since the engagement ended?
Mm-hmm.
Are you dating right now?
I am dating right now, yeah.
Oh, so you're finding love. Okay, so does the person you were dating, they know about your whole Love is Blind experience?
Of course.
Oh, interesting. Does the person live here in Atlanta? I'm intrigued.
Are you here in Atlanta as well? I guess you are, yeah.
This is like rapid fire, but are you guys doing your own experiment? Like, because it's almost like the pod again, where we're stuck in our houses.
That's kind of the joke, right? Is that like, this is basically the quarantine edition of Love Is Blind, right? And that's what everyone's kind of have to figure out. It's interesting because it's a forced distance relationship for a lot of people. And I think that there'll probably be some interesting studies into how many marriages or couples started, how many broke up, like what happened.
How many Rona babies?
Yeah, the quarantines.
The quarantine.
And wait, do you know if there's going to be a season 2?
There is going to be a season 2. It is going to be cast in Chicago, and they are casting right now.
Wow.
Oh, is that breaking news?
No, I mean they announced. I think 2 weeks ago.
I knew that, yeah. Paul. So you're a little bit
for a while.
I'm late, I guess. I'm late. All right.
Go sign up.
I'm not. I'm good. All right. So you ready for some fun questions, or you go from average to savage?
Sure.
What's your favorite song right now?
My favorite song right now. Good question. I suck at favorite questions because I have so many.
Well, I got too. So
It's probably some EDM song. I've been listening a lot to Foo Fighters as well in the last couple of days. Just hit a wind, you know.
right.
Okay. What was your AIM name back in the AOL Instant Messenger days? I'm RDM Taz, reporting for duty. I've entered the chat.
Nice. I think mine was like Zyriel. It was some like edgy, like.
Oh, so you
weird.
were like a gamer from birth. Like,
Oh yeah. No, I've been gaming since I was like in the single digits of age.
Oh my.
Hardcore.
Yeah. How'd you get the name Dry Bear? Right? Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I started doing casting and content creation and the stage work, I wanted to kind of have like my online name. And I wanted something that was unique and easy to say and memorable. So I just kind of, it's like loosely based on if you're ever in a snowy state, they call dry bears the people that stay inside instead of going out and playing in the snow. So it kind of like had that little element of like, yeah, gamer or whatever, but it's also, I think it's easy to say, easy to remember. And it's also just kind of innocent. Right?
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
And you
it's
know,
a chill,
it's cool.
fun name to say, you know?
It's a really cool name. So what's something people don't know about you? A hidden talent, something that I shouldn't say no one, because people know something, but most people don't.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like I said, I don't really have a good inventory of
A hidden talent. You played a sport in
thing.
high school. Can you
juggle?
juggle?
I played lacrosse in high school.
Okay.
I used to play saxophone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Do you have a wedding ring ready in case you need to propose at any moment?
No, I don't.
Okay, just curious.
Just in case
Do they provide you guys with the rings?
Yeah, they did.
Oh man, see, that's why you need to get on the show. If anybody was preparing, they're like, let me get that ring.
That's right.
And my last one, what's your top 5 favorite video games?
Oh God, the hardest question ever. I would say Final Fantasy VII is up there. And they just launched the first episode of the remake, which is awesome. Final Fantasy VII, probably Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike, and then Diablo probably.
Diablo.
You're a PC guy, right?
I started out as a PC guy, and then when I joined the gaming industry, obviously, especially like being a game director, I had to kind of play all platforms. So I started playing. I mean, at my peak, I was trying to force myself to play like 30 new games a week, just so I get a sense of the market and what's going on. And
crazy.
I like download phone games and console games and PC games and keep trying them and all that stuff. It's good to know like what's out there and what people are digging.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I want to play that many games though.
Some of them I only played for an hour, right? Like it just depends if it's me or not.
I do like, all right, this one stinks. Like, next.
Yeah. Or that it's just like I kind of get it, like get what they're doing. I see what genre this is, and how they're making their money and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. That's right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and can you let the listeners know where they can follow you at?
Yeah, you can find me online on social at Rory Newbrough or Dry Bear. And then you can just check out Twitter, Instagram.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, again, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so
Rory.
much. It's been a pleasure.